The wait is finally over, and oh my goodness, it was worth it. So, it has obviously only been like a year-ish since the Iris OVA came out, and it's just felt like so long because of how much of a series this means to me and tons of other people. And over Twitter, obviously, the last few days, it's been pretty crazy. You always have your SJWs, and everybody else want to stick their nose into things to cancel things because, they think whatever, which, just brings more attention to a series in general. People were kind of like mad at first because of the stills from the trailer of how the animation was going to be. But if you ask me, this was some peak animation, like not like top tier, but it's just as good, if not slightly better than season 1. I can understand people worrying about the directorial aspect of it. However, I think this episode was really good for what it was doing, which was getting Shelfie or Fitz their little arc, kind of like I guess like a prequel arc to season 2, considering it is chapters from the first season that just never got into fruition, which, from a directorial standpoint makes sense to me, with everything going on, to focus on Rudis and going through that. But with that all being said and done out of the way, let's talk about this episode. I have been waiting to come back to do seasonal reviews for this anime specifically, so let's jump right into this episode. We start off with this nice pan of these flowers, and we get the nice intro credits, and we see Princess Ariel right off the bat, just kind of chilling in her patio and not doing a whole hell of a lot, but talking about their cakes and teas and stuff with her bodyguards. And right after that, we kind of find out about the political background, about how she's trying to be queen, but in succession order she has 2 older brothers and 2 sisters that are older as well, so clearly she's kind of lower on the totem pole. And while that's all going down and said and being done, Shelfie's getting zapped from the blip, and she's falling from the sky, which is the scene where people were really whining about the animation and everything else. And granted, there's a couple stills that are a little, but, she's falling from the sky and flipping all over. You can only do so much with that. Bind was doing a great job. And while she's falling down, we kind of see these stills of this big pig beast coming to attack. And it's this huge loud boom, which draws obviously Princess Ariel and everybody else's attention. So they're kind of looking towards that. And while that's happening, Shelfie's falling down from the sky. And this is the magical moment. She's kind of like casting magic at this moment to kind of like break her fall. And she's coughing up water, and while that's all happening, instead of being done, she gets the transformation of the green hair to the white hair. Now, I'm not gonna get super into that. We'll go into that later, but it's a pretty neat moment. And we get the scene with the 4-armed boar, and it is just destroying all of them, one by one. So while Shelfie's falling, to break her fall, she does a wind spell. And coincidentally, while she's doing this wind spell, she lands directly on this boar, literally crushing its head. It's such a good scene, the way they executed it and let that thing fall. Granted, it wasn't the most, best battle scene of the series, but it was good, especially from being, breaking into this new season right off the bat. And then after that fall happens, we get that iconic still that we've had for a while of Shelfie laying in the bed of flowers around her, spread out, and it just looks really beautiful the way they execute that. Wake up the next day, Shelfie gets up, kind of looks and realizes, her hair has changed. She doesn't know where she is. She doesn't even know what happened. Princess Ariel is right next to her, and she goes, where are you from? And she tells her where she's from, and of course, as we all know as the audience, it's gone. The city's gone. Everybody's been blipped. Everybody's moving. And so she comes to tell Shelfie, it seems that, Vittoria's gone. Everybody's been vanished. You fell from the sky and landed on royal grounds, so you were trespassing. So if you don't become my bodyguard, you'll be banished from the palace. So she also has another rule for her. She has to wear these glasses at all times if she's going to do this, which obviously is because she's a female and male bodyguards, that type of thing. And we kind of go a little bit forward, not super far forward, but a little bit forward to see the new Fitz now, with the name change. So obviously Shelfie's girl's name. And we go to this, I want to say like Suave. I don't know if it's a party or Suave specifically, but they're having it, and they walk in. Everybody's talking to her, and right off the bat, her brother comes down with his personal advisor, kind of wondering what she's talking about with these other people, because obviously there's competition for the throne. And while those two are kind of bickering their thing out, you got Fitz with the other bodyguard, and he's like, because Fitz is getting a little shaky, and right from there, he's like, you're gonna have to get used to standing for a long time. But we all know, obviously, this is her first kind of like endeavor like this, so obviously she's nervous. She's hearing everything with her elf ears, all this slander about not having a family and no personal history, and it's really all starting to catch up and get to her, especially the fact that she's having nightmares about this, and everything's starting to add up. So she kind of freaks out and falls down, and one of the nobles picks up her hand, commenting that it's very girlish. So she falls over and knocks down this other noble's glass of wine. But while that's all happening, Ariel takes her brother's request and sings a song and cleans up the mess that has occurred. And makes no big deal of it, whatever. And we get into the next night. Shelfie's clearly dreaming still. And while she's dreaming away, the other guards kind of like, noticing this. So the next day, we kind of pass forward, and one of the other nobles as well, I guess not noble necessarily, more or less a personal advisor, kind of tells her that, you need to get a solid footing, and, kind of talking about more or less, projecting to the throne. While Shelfie is over here, I'm just going to call her Shelfie. Fitz, I understand, but we're going to call her Shelfie. Well, that's, getting talked and discussed. Shelfie is, asked one more time about her family, if her friends, or if anybody's been found at all. And we come to find out more information we already know, that obviously they've been scattered across the world, and they're having some troubles finding them, which obviously disheartens Shelfie a little bit, because she wants to know what happened to Rudis, what happened to, Paul, poor Zenith, and everybody else going along with that. And this is what's going to be a huge turning point in this season. Obviously, we'll talk about that later on in the next episodes with the Depressed Magician starting next Sunday, but there's a lot going on in this season that is going to take place, and I am more than ecstatic for it. And so right after that, she kind of tells her, thanks for at least trying. I know you can only do so much with your power right now, and the fact that you're trying is helping out. But wait, Ariel's kind of two-faced, but we'll also get into that later on in the series, and it really evolves into something that's we go to her brother again at some type of play, and with his personal advisor, and he's pretty much telling what do we do about Ariel? Obviously she must be planning something, getting all fishy about it. And we see him actually coincidentally with someone that's going to come into play in a couple scenes later, named Night's Eye Crow. And right after the play's done, pretty much he says, what we need to do is we need to clean up the sprout, take the root instead, and so obviously nip it in the butt. The princess asked Shelfie to sleep with her that night because they're both having nightmares, and so she comes in, in her nightgown, and first thing Ariel does is pretty much come onto her and play it off as a joke. And obviously Shelfie feels very uncomfortable about it, because first of all, last time this really happened was Rudis taking all her clothes off. But right after that, she's like, oh, no, I'm just kidding, it's a joke, I just need somebody to sleep with me. And so when that happens, Ariel starts talking about her dreams and what's happening, and the fact that, Derek being killed by the monster, and it kills her is what she's dreaming about. So Shelfie kind of backs her up and says, when you're, or not Shelfie, oh my gosh, Ariel backs up Shelfie and tells her, when you're in pain, you can talk to somebody. And with that being said, they kind of, talk about being friends, and they go to bed. And before they go to bed, Shelfie's kind of the princess goes to hold Shelfie's hand, and they're kind of relaxing. And immediately we get one of the fight scenes to start this season off, and it is really well executed, reminding me almost a little bit of season 1 with our dragon god, our boy. With that, I mean, obviously not the intensity or the spells or anything like that, but just the quick cuts and the fastness pace of the fights. That is one thing Mushoku Tensei really does well, is the fast paced fights, and I live for those so much. But the assassin comes, and obviously, like I said, we've seen her earlier, and she has this little short, fat ass blade, and she goes to attack Shelfie first, and Shelfie notices and dodges. And right after that, she starts throwing these wind cut attacks, right, to get her away from her and distance herself from the princess. And right when, she's about to come in and swoop in and stab her, Shelfie does this nice air attack and destroys the wall and sends her straight out of there. And obviously, Shelfie passes out from the slight bit of poison on the blade, and we go to recollect it the next day, knowing that this is a pretty famous assassin and is attacking nobles around. And we come to talk and discuss how Ariel should probably leave for a little bit and clear the air so that she doesn't get murdered. And she tells Shelfie takes off her glasses with the reflection of sadness into those glasses, and tells her that she's relieving of her guard duty and that everything was a lie and she just wanted her to stay with her. But Shelfie comes back with I'll save you, we're friends, I'm going to join you on this journey. And where are they going? The Academy. Good old Magic Academy. And so from there on, we get to see their journey to the Academy in the nice hard winter storms. And that's, for the most part, leading up to the Magic Academy, which is going to lead Rudis's journey through this series to get there. And it is a perfect setup for season 1 or season 2. And it's great. It was fantastic. This is a really good episode, and I'm really excited to delve into this and be back into it for another 2 cores. It's such a relief to have something like this come back, and I know we have so much coming out this season and next season specifically as well, but this is one I've been looking forward to, and I am more than excited to talk about this with everyone. It's such a good series. Everything about it, the story, the characters, the development, the action. There's something about Mushoku Tensei and ReZero together as the quote-unquote OG isekais that just nail it in the coffin before everybody else trickled down the pyramid and made it just that fat block. Those two are the top of the pyramid, and they do so well at it. Very good episode. Animation was good. Oh, and not to mention, we didn't get that nice scenic intro with Yuko Ohara's vocals going through the scenes this episode. And from what I understand, we might not get those this season. And you know what? That's kind of sad. But at the same time, we don't know yet because they did cut an intro, so it's really hard to say. But even if we don't get those, it is what it is. But we got her nice outro with the song Musubime, and it was really, really good. She never disappoints, and you can tell that the studio bind really cares about this, and that Hiroki Hirano really stepped up into the role as the director from the assistant director last season and nailed it and owns it. So very hype, very excited, and I can't wait to see next week's episode. So with that all being said and done, let me know what you guys thought about this first episode down in the comments. Did you enjoy it? Are you looking forward to this season? Anything. I'd love to know your guys' opinions. And if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. It means a lot. And if you're feeling really generous, hit that subscribe button. I'm going to be uploading like a mofo this season. I'm so excited. But with that being said and done, I think that's all I got for today. And this has been Squids, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.